Okay, so now we want to talk about GCFs that are a little bit more complex than the ones that we were previously dealing with in the last video. And the first thing that we want to do when we start thinking about this is remember that we're looking for terms and we're pulling the GCF out of each term. So we have to determine how many terms we have. And we see that we've got this lovely plus sitting here right in the middle. The other thing that you'll notice is that you've got y times x plus 5, and that parentheses that we see here. This is, saying that this goes together. And again, 3 times x plus 5. So again, the parentheses is saying this goes together. So it's 3 times something, doesn't matter what it is. So we've actually only got 2 terms here. Now as soon as we see that, now we can start thinking, hopefully, a little bit about what the GCF is, or what do they both have in common, what looks exactly the same. And what looks exactly the same, think about it for a second, is what's in the parentheses. So the parentheses is x plus 5 in both of these. So our GCF is the quantity, put it in parentheses, x plus 5. And it has to stay in parentheses. The next thing that we're going to notice is that, I'm going to rewrite this so we can see it a little bit better, but when we do this, we use exactly the same process. So hopefully you see that there's really nothing different. Once we've identified that GCF, we divide out the GCF from each term. And when we do that, what's left we put in the second parentheses, just like our regular GCFs. And that's how we can factor out something that's a little bit more complex. So we're going to take a look at a few of these. Again, my suggestion is that you pause and try them on your own so you kind of get a feel for it. This first one has one thing that's a little bit special in it that I want to make sure that you see. And that is that you see that there is no coefficient on that second parentheses. And when you see that, put it in. Don't argue, don't think about it, just put in the 1. This is probably the most common error with this type of problem, is people forgetting about that 1, and I'll mention why in just a few. So now that we've got the 1 in there, we're looking for a GCF. We see that x squared plus 3 is in each parentheses. So that is our GCF. And when we divide that out, we can see what's left is 5y plus 1. See, wow, that 1 comes in so handy. It doesn't disappear. 5y plus 1. And we're done. Now this one, again, the next one has something special in it. And that is, we see that there's a negative in the middle. So I just want to make sure that we talk for a minute about how to deal with the negative. First things first, we're looking for the GCF. We see that the parentheses has 4x minus 7. So that is our GCF, 4x minus 7. And now we, of course, are going to divide that out. So when we do that, we see that that drops out. We're left with our x here. And that's 1, so that's gone. So we're left with negative 3y. So you've got to make sure that you carry the sign in front of that number. So that's what goes in here. So here you see that was a negative, so here you see that's a negative. Again, you may want to pause to do these last two because I'm going to go through them pretty quickly just because they're repeats, but I just want you to have a little bit more practice. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this one, and we see that we've got our GCF is what's in the parentheses, the 3x minus 5. and it's in both. So we pull the GCF out. We divide it out to figure out what's in the second parentheses. So that's gone. And then we just put whatever's in that second paren, or what's left over after we divide it out, into the second paren, being careful of the sign. So the first one was x and then minus 2y, and we're done. Let's look at this last one here. Again, we're looking for the GCF. We see that the parentheses is the GCF, so it's 3x squared minus 5. Now we divide that out of each. We're left with 4x plus 7. It's going to depend how much of this you need to write down or how much you feel comfortable writing down. That's got to be up to each of you. I'm just kind of giving you a variation on the theme. And this is, you know, I don't write out every single little step on these. I suggest people do it for as long as you need to, but sometimes you can go a little bit quickly. Be careful of the sign. That's usually where things can go wrong.